Welcome to 1099 Prep, a simple, secure, and cost-effective application for preparing and filing tax forms. 1099 Prep is designed by accountants, built for everyone. The streamlined filing process creates a unified solution for accountants and business owners with varied levels of tax knowledge. Our simplified workflow and automated filing process allows you to get back to doing what you do best. 1099 Prep is a self-service site, allowing new users to create an account directly from the login page. Once the account is created and confirmed, the login page will validate the email and password. Once valid credentials are provided, two-factor authentication offers an additional layer of security. Email is the default method for 2FA, but text messaging can be enabled under your user profile after login. The entry point into 1099 Prep is the company dashboard. The company dashboard provides a high-level overview of customers and corresponding forms. When creating an account, the company and the initial customer are set up. This configuration provides a quick start that works for a majority of companies. To help orientate users in 1099 Prep, let's quickly define a company and a customer, as these are key concepts. A company refers to the business entity utilizing the application for filing purposes. A customer is a logical grouping of clients for billing or security purposes that is not included in filings. Customers can help you manage your payers if you support different clients. Companies, such as accounting firms, will be likely candidates to create additional customers. Businesses with a small number of payers will likely only require the single customer that has been created upon sign-up. In many cases, a small business will have the same company, customer, and payer. From the company dashboard, customers will be displayed based on the logged-in user's most recent activity. To find additional customers, there is a filter option. We will continue through the filing process and come back to the company dashboard along the way. Navigate to the customer dashboard by selecting a customer from the list. The first time accessing the customer dashboard, there will be actions displayed on the left side of the screen. These actions are driven by filing status. At this point, with no forms, the only action will be imports. Importing data is an Excel-based process that uses a template to guide you through the data entry process. When there is a need to load many forms, importing is the best option. There is also an Add button next to Payer, allowing data entry through the user interface. This path is helpful when there are small quantities of data. These steps guide users through the data entry process with real-time validation messages. Now is a good time to define some more terms. Payers are the individual or business entity that makes payments and are responsible for reporting. 1099 Prep allows multiple payers for each customer. In 1099 Prep, payer is a general term. For example, when filing a W-2, the employer is the payer. When adding a payer, there is a prompt to pick the type of payer based on the forms that will be entered, as different fields and validations are required. If a payer needs to file multiple form types, please enter a payer for each type to ensure the correct data is provided. As you add a payer, address validation can be requested to enhance data accuracy. Recipients are the people or businesses who receive payments throughout the year from the payer. Multiple recipients may exist for each payer. In 1099 Prep, recipient is a general term. For example, when filing a W-2, the employee is the recipient. As you add a payer, address validation and TIN matching can be requested to enhance data accuracy. With 1099 Prep, these services are included in your filing cost. Once you have added a payer or recipient, the next step is to add the recipient forms. For this example, we will show a 1099-NEC form, as it is the most common form sent to the IRS. As with the payer and recipient, form data entry provide validations. If data is entered incorrectly, a message will be displayed. Once any validation issues are resolved, the form can be added. The actions in 1099 Prep are driven by permissions and the data that has been entered. Now that a form has been created, notice that the action panel is updated to include additional actions. There will still be the option to add or import more data. However, now there are actions for TIN matching, reports, and exports as well. TIN matching is not required, but it is recommended to assist with filing the most accurate information. After TIN matching is enabled at the recipient level, the type in matching action is used to match the recipient's name and type in with IRS records. Keep in mind this process takes 1 to 2 days during busy season, so plan ahead so deadlines are not missed. Please note if there is still an active TIN matching request, this does not prevent filing. At this stage, the draft forms report can be used to preview and verify forms before submission. For more details on the report process, see the video on reporting. There are also actions associated with payers, recipients, and forms. These actions are driven by status and permissions. With the proper permissions, payers, recipients, and forms in draft status can be edited or deleted. Under payers, there are actions for managing state accounts and payer forms. 1099 PREP supports filing in the following states for valid state account numbers. For valid state account numbers or for more details on the state filing process, please see the user guide. There are 2 types of payer forms. The first is payer federal forms such as 1094B, 1094C, and 1042. State reconciliation forms are the other type of payer form. Here is a list of state reconciliation forms supported by 1099 PREP. There are also actions at the form level. The View option displays a PDF of a single form. This action is available for all statuses for a unified view of form data. The Review feature lets partners or clients verify or deny forms before submission, enhancing teamwork and collaboration. See the user guide for details. At this point, data has been entered and reviewed either with reports or the View action. Notice there is an Add to Cart action at the form level, as well as the bulk option at the top of the screen. Adding forms to the cart kicks off the filing process. A cart is a group of forms ready for submission. Once forms are added to the cart action will appear in the action panel. To view the cart, click the cart action. The cart allows a final review before submission. The cart also provides the option for the delivery method for statements to recipients. Recipients are required to be provided copies by the deadline associated with the form. USPS mailing or emailing are 2 options provided by 1099 PREP. If you choose None, the payer will be responsible for delivering the correct copies before the deadline. Once a cart is submitted, statements can no longer be delivered by 1099 PREP via mail or email. The recipient forms report is available to help with this scenario. If the submission requires more than one delivery method, please create separate carts based on the delivery method. Summary forms such as 1096 and W3 can be generated within the reporting module. These forms do not need to be submitted to the IRS when e-filing with 1099 PREP, but can be created for archiving purposes. We will walk through this process when discussing the final forms report in a few minutes. Before forms are submitted, the payment screen will securely capture your credit card information. Once forms are submitted, confirmation and a receipt are sent to the submitting user. Forms are submitted for delivery upon submission. If a form fails submission, marked as failed, it means it was not sent to the IRS. The form will need to be reviewed based on the feedback and resubmitted before the deadline. All forms filed by 5 p.m. EST on the deadline will be considered timely by the IRS. After a period of review, the IRS will mark the forms for acceptance or rejection. In busy season, this may be weeks, but the deadline is based on submission, not acceptance. When the IRS makes a decision, an email will be sent to notify the submitting user. At this point, the submitting user will log back into 1099 PREP. You will see the company dashboard displaying the customer with the new form statuses. On the right side of the screen, there are quick links. These are helpful information such as a user guide, help videos, IRS instructions, and support to ensure a smooth and confident filing experience. There is also a cart lookup that pulls up the cart that was acknowledged. On the company dashboard, the name filter allows searching on the customer if needed. On the customer dashboard, the name filter allows searching on payer or recipient name. The status filter bar will display only forms in the selected statuses. On the customer dashboard, the submission action will now be displayed on the action panel. The submission screen is useful if there are several carts for a single customer. If the IRS accepts the forms, you can amend the tax forms by correcting or negating. Below is a link to our amendments video. If the IRS rejects the form, you'll be able to edit and resubmit. There will be a form-level action as well as a bulk action for this process. If a form is rejected, in most cases there will not be a penalty as long as the form is resubmitted in a timely manner. With submitted forms, it is a good time to revisit the reporting module. The final forms report allows you to generate a report of tax forms that were submitted to the IRS. This report is used to generate copies of submitted tax forms for your records or distribution to payers. Please note you can create a 1096 or W-3 summary form when you are creating a final forms report. Before we wrap up the overview, there are some cases where companies need to add additional users or customers. User management, included with 1099 Prep at no additional cost, allows management of users and customers. You can easily adjust permissions, ensuring each user has access only to the features and data relevant to their responsibilities for secure and efficient collaboration. See the user guide for more details on user management. 1099 Prep is a multi-year system, allowing access to historical records. On the top of the screen, filing year can be selected. Previously submitted forms can be viewed, and reports can be run. However, no new forms can be added or submitted in prior years. Current year filings end in mid-November, so make sure to have all submissions and corrections in before the IRS closes for the tax year. With these features and options, 1099 Prep streamlines the tax filing process, empowering you to prepare, manage, and submit forms with confidence. As you explore the platform, remember that customizable reporting, robust data controls, and built-in support are all designed to make your tax season easier and more accurate. For more tips and resources, check out our user guide, training videos, and other quick links available to keep your filing on track.